Thanks for pulling all this together today and looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, our absolute pleasure. We're looking forward to it too. We already have a few people joined and more joining. We have 5 more minutes left, so we can wait.
Sounds good.
Hi, Doug. Hi, Rekha. How you guys doing? All right?
Hey, Rehan, welcome. All good. Doug, this is Rehan. We'll be doing the second presentation.
Oh, okay. Very good. I don't think we've had a chance to meet yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, thank you for today's conversation. Looking forward to learning from you.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me. So it's a real pleasure.
Yeah, how long have you been working with Adele?
I've been working with CBS and Adele since I came to Dubai, really. I think Ayman, his brother, is one of the guys who I met good few years back. We've kept in touch ever since, and we work very closely with each other on different fronts. So yeah, no, I've known the family for quite some time.
Wonderful. Are you based in London or in Dubai or somewhere else?
I'm based in London at the moment. I'm in Saudi. So I go to and fro from UAE and Saudi often. So yeah. How about you?
Global Chambers headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, and today I'm in Los Angeles, California.
Oh my God, what time is it in Los Angeles in LA right now?
Oh, it's not bad. It's 7 a.m., so it's all good.
Fair enough. You must be an early riser because you seem like you got a lot of energy.
Yeah, I think I definitely am. I've been up for several hours and without any caffeine as well, so that's pretty good.
Congratulations. So are you a member of the 5 a.m. club then?
The which club?
The 5 a.m. club.
Oh, 5 a.m. I'm having lunch around 5 a.m. Yeah, I'm usually either 3 or 4 is when I get up. And, what I find is that time of day is very quiet and it's very, very productive. So, but then at 6 p.m. I close down. So I make sure that I try to close everything off by 6 p.m., no later, except under, sometimes you have to go to dinner with people and things like that. So I definitely do that occasionally, but not very often, just so I do family time from 6 p.m.
Growing your business.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
With CBS by your side, you can move forward confidently. Reach out to us now for a free personalized consultation today. Corporate Business Services, your success, our expertise.
Rekia, I'm wondering, do we have the ability to see the people who are in the room? Oh, it might be my need. Oh, did we lose Rekia?
Sorry.
She's still there.
Yeah, I'm very much here. So yes, we have about 32 people in the room. If you look for people, you should be able to, on top over people, you will see them all.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm not seeing where to find that. Let's see. Does everyone in the room have the capability to speak?
Yes. As of now, we would hope that everybody mutes themselves so that when the question answer session comes up, we will unmute ourselves and speak. But yes, I think Rehan can also speak. So everybody can choose to unmute themselves or mute themselves and speak.
Okay. And I found the place to find the people. I'm just more familiar with Zoom. So Microsoft
Yes, Teams
has
is a
gotten
little different, just slightly.
Good morning.
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 good morning. That sounded like Pauline.
It is. Can you not see me? I can see you.
Now we can see you.
I can see you now. Sure.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, how are you? And who is that?
I am Otman. I'm connecting from Morocco now.
Okay, very good. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to get started in a moment. And Rekka, I'm just going to kind of rely on largely you. When do you think would be a good time to start? Because we're at the top of the hour.
Sorry, we have 43 people already in the room. So just give us 2 more minutes and then it's 7:02 over here. So 7:05, 3 more minutes. In 3 minutes, we'll start and I think because more people are joining as we speak. So we'll
Okay.
just give it just 3 more minutes. Yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, welcome everybody. We're going to start in a few minutes. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber, and today we'll be talking about opportunities in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And so we were talking to a couple of experts here, and we'll kick off the program in a moment. Yes, I see people still coming in, so that's great.
Shall we put like a Q&A on the chat, just see where everyone's from and what their positions are?
That's great. That would be super. Let's see. Where is the chat in this thing? Let's see. Yeah, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, please put your name and your information in, and where you're from. So name, hello from Switzerland. Hello, Indira. And Pauline, she's in Las Vegas. All right.
Hey.
Well, she's a gambler.
She might have watched the F1.
Hello from Germany. We've got Virginia. Rekka, I think we have a little echo here.
When I speak, is there an echo?
Welcome from the UK.
I think if everyone just puts themselves on mute.
So encourage everybody to mute. Probably somebody who has two screens open should mute. And Rekka, would you be able to help with the muting?
Help with the?
I can mute all. Let's see. That's what I'll do. Okay. I tried to mute everybody, and that seemed to solve the problem. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We're just waiting to get the signal to move ahead. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber, and we're going to get going in a moment. Welcome.
It's 7:05. I think it's good to go. We can join now.
Very good. Is this program being recorded?
Yes, we are recording it now.
Wonderful. So then I'll kick off. Hi, everybody. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. At Global Chamber, we're everywhere. And one of the things that we focus in on is opportunity. The world is an amazing place. It's a frustrating place as well, and it can cause lots of heartache. But generally in business, there's so much opportunity that it gives us pause to say which ones of the opportunities are worth going after. One of them, one certainly very important region, is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And our focus today will be on that region. And I'm very pleased to present two extraordinary leaders in that area. And I'd like to start by kicking off with Adel Alawadi, who is the co-founder and managing partner of the corporate group, TCG. And he's also the executive director for Global Chamber UAE, and their organization handles business in and out of the Middle East. They're an expert on helping companies export, and they're very much deeply involved, especially given the dynamics of the market today, in having companies land in the region and be successful in the region. So Adel, thank you so much for speaking today. We're looking forward to hearing more about your thoughts. You'll be covering the business landscape in Saudi Arabia and begin to open up the door for us on what are the hot opportunities and what do you see as an expert on the region on things that we should be thinking about. How are you today?
Very well. Thank you, Doug, for the introduction.
Yeah, thank you for your leadership. How long have you been doing business, and how long has your company been doing business?
Well, the corporate group is a company that is based in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, but we are spread in UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, and we have a good footprint in the GCC countries. So we've been in the business in the past 15 years, advising and helping many international companies in the market entry to the Gulf region, and helping them in their growth and strategies.
I think even your family, was your father even involved with the business? You've got a legacy for the business and a long-standing relationships in the community. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. We can't compete with our legacy father, but he's more into a different sector and he established his own holding company, but we're more on the service sector. So he's more on the trade and real estate. So it's a complementing.
In all the years that you've been involved in business, how would you characterize the market right now? Is it the most dynamic, the most exciting you've ever seen?
I think we've seen the attraction to this region just before the pandemic, and I think during the pandemic, although everywhere we're cautious about steps and investment and doing things right, but I think what I could see from the leaders here in the region, in Saudi Arabia and the neighbor countries, UAE and elsewhere, that they realized it was a time where they could put their offer, their effort in terms of updating and improving in their policies, regulations, where they could use it as a hub in attracting foreign investment and businesses, and trying to capitalize that in terms of attracting talent, knowledge, building a new hub economy for the world through this region. And I think post the pandemic, things have been so far great, and there is a lot of inflow of individuals, entrepreneurs, startups, as well as SMEs, and large companies. And with few initiatives that I would be highlighting today, I think it showcased that this successful strategy and visions that they have put the region here and attracting those businesses and investment.
Well, thank you for your day-to-day leadership and long legacy of the success of your family and the business. Very exciting times. For today's conversation, we are going to be less than an hour. We have a good audience today from around the world. We'll be hearing from Adel and then Reynan Alim, and then a Q&A. And in between, I'll introduce a couple other people that are part of the Global Chamber tribe. I just ask if I do introduce you just to keep your comments brief. It's mainly just to make sure that everybody is aware that within the community in this very hot market, there are many important resources to continue to connect with. And certainly two key ones are our main speakers today. So Adel, I turn the floor over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and thanks. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you are. I know there are many international participants, so we are now working from different parts of the world, but it's good to be connected, and thanks for joining for our evening here in the Gulf. And we're very excited to share and to also take a feedback on, as Doug mentioned, that we will take those questions on the side, as well as we'll have a question and answer sessions. So where is it exactly, Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia is just in the middle of the map of the world, as you guys see here. We're strategically located, and Riyadh is the capital. And the population of Saudi Arabia has been increasing every couple of years. So now it's almost reaching to 30 million. For some people, maybe they compare it with the United Arab Emirates in terms of the population size. So UAE is around 10 million, but where the UAE, you have 10% of the population are local resident, where Saudi Arabia, 60 to 70% are the local nationals of Saudis. So the dynamic of the people inside the country is a bit different. In terms of the vision, I mean, we've heard, or many of us maybe have heard about the vision of Saudi Arabia 2030. This was established maybe more than 5 years, but I think it's in the shift of accelerating before ending or coming towards the 2030. In terms of a lot of focus and diversification has been doing and a growth in a few sectors. The 2030 vision was prioritized on a bit of focus on the renewable energy, on the technology, tourism, healthcare, manufacturing, and a bit focus on general infrastructures. I mean, happened that the Saudi Arabia, in terms of size, is huge compared to the neighboring countries in the Gulf. So this means there's a bit of focus on transportations and mobility system, whether that's on land transportation, sea transportation, as well as the air transportation. So as mentioned, so this is this in a context, put it in a global logistics area, and the kingdom also is looking for zero emissions by 2060. The major economic hubs in Saudi Arabia is basically, you've got the Riyadh is the capital, and then you've got the Jeddah from the west, and then the east side, you have got the Dammam and Dhahran, and then of course many of us has heard about the Neom city. There's many of the giga projects that are going through, but on terms of transportation, there's a lot of projects in the cargo side of rail, connecting the north to south and the west to east. And then you've got the high-speed railway that inside the kingdom that they're exploring, as well as some of the new bridge and connections that with a high-speed building with the neighboring countries such as Qatar. Then you've got a lot of new projects that are coming up in terms of the facilitation on the port side and land bridge. On the sports side, there's many major events and giga projects happening in terms of infrastructure. So the Asian Football Cup 27 is coming up, the Winter Olympic 29, the Expo 2030, and then the World Cup 2034. And Saudi is very much attracting local tourism as well as international one. So in terms, they have really come across to be, for example, attracting 8 million tourism in 2023, and they've got a target to reach by 2030 40 million tourism, and that shows how the kingdom is trying to build this one. On the progression of the government also has announced to many of the businesses and investments, such as the relocation of headquarters. So they're attracting many companies to set up their HQ kind of a setup in the kingdom and giving them some incentives. But they're also have launched many of those special economic zones. Now, those are economic zones. It depends on their location, but I have mentioned few names here, and these are depends on the their location. So some of them, they are access to the sea, and some of them, they're access to the airports, and some of them with the new projects of the land bridge and rail connectivity and cargo rail and so forth. So there is a lot of economic zones and special economic zones that are addressed. They are going to maybe in the near future also launch free zones, which the government is looking at new policies and regulations to attract foreign investments. But in terms of the investments in the Saudi Arabia, there is a new investment law was published in July this year, replacing the existing one, which was launched earlier in year 2000. And these regulations and laws are published in the international news. And the purpose of these new laws is to develop and bring up Saudi Arabia as a competitiveness and investment environment, ease of doing business, attracting foreign investments, creating job and attractive climate for both Saudis as well as non-Saudi investors. Also, they have launched few of those supporting in terms of policies and regulations for trademarks and for IP rights and so forth. They're also trying to address new policies where for sustainable investments and working on very transparent and getting feedbacks from the investors. These of course, all of these policies and regulations will give investors to enjoy the freedom and conduct their business and activities on a regular basis. There's a lot of KPIs, I would say, and levels that are introduced as well in terms of uplifting the social and pension kind of security for investors, and where the health and safety and working environment make it more easy and make it more of international standards in the kingdom for many of those investors, or maybe for workers as well in the kingdom. The new law also included concept of foreign shareholders can now register themselves directly, and they can also have their own kind of CR, the registration certificates. The new law also includes the possibility of granting incentives. Some of these incentives are given especially for startup schemes and attracting technology-based companies that whether it's government or semi-government are granting some of these incentives to those startups. And a bit of focus on the dispute resolutions method. In the past everything was more of a Sharia compliance, but now I think they have they have already established arbitration and mediation councils and so forth. So they have a new ways of methods that they could dispute on resolutions, and equal treatment and rights between the Saudi and foreign owners and investors. That's also has been uplifted. I've been given only 10-15 minutes, so I'm just trying to get into the needle, as they say, but happy to take the question and answers there. So in terms of business licensing in Kingdom and in Saudi Arabia, there's two ways of registrations. There is one way that, if you are a local GCC, you'll go through the Ministry of Commerce, and that law has a different legal structure establishing whether it's a joint stock partnerships, sole, and it could be a branch of the GCC companies or GCC ownerships, and these licenses are handled within the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Commerce. And then you have the Ministry of Investment. Ministry of Investment is more on the foreign investment. So foreigners that they want to establish, whether they have a partnership models or they want to set up then foreign companies, a branch of foreign companies, and having full ownership, they give them the license and the registration under the Ministry of Investment. But of course, there are certain criteria, and then there are certain restrictions in terms of obtaining those kind of license. But it has made it to facilitate these ones, and they have also the aftercare service that they support beyond the registration and licensing. And there are different authorities that could be engaged, as usually do in many countries, post the registration or pre-approval of the registration. It depends on the activities, and many of those governments are having very much of a open policy and transparency in getting the and supporting the international companies and setting up there. In terms of the how and where you can access to Saudi Arabia, now the Saudi Arabia has made very much easy for many of the visitors, where you can go and explore the kingdom, whether you're being a tourist or a business as a first time. You can go on and apply it online and get your visa processed in minutes. But also they have eased it for the GCC national, that they can, if you have residence, you can also visit the kingdom very often and easy. But also I would encourage many of the business and investors to visit those key major trade shows across the kingdom, and mainly maybe in Riyadh, being the capital, and most of the ministerial and business and opportunities are there. There are upcoming major events coming up in January. For example, you've got the retail summit. You've got also the LEAP, and Big Five is more of a construction companies happening in February. Riyadh season is more of a tourist attraction and exploring Saudi Arabia, and it's happening, actually started last month in the kingdom, and it runs all the way to March during Ramadan time. Next year, you can explore those by visiting many of those attractions and many of those touristic places. But you also have opportunity to follow us on our social media under the corporate group. Our subsidiary in the kingdom, International Corporate Business Services, they host on a monthly or bi-monthly basis, where we have events, and the next event is happening 10th of December, and we have also in January and February next year. These events, what we do is we bring founders whether they are startups or SMEs of the businesses, and we bring investors and the business community for a networking over a dinner, and there will be also panel discussions that we bring speakers to talk about the ecosystem and the opportunities that you could explore in doing business and explore further in the kingdom. To this, I end my presentation, and I think we have a slot, as I mentioned earlier, that we could take question and answers later after the second presentation. Thank you very much, and we look forward to keeping in touch with everyone.
Thank you, Adel. I'm Doug Brunke with Global Chamber. I've got a couple people I wanted to introduce between now and our next speaker. One is the company Migrate World. Ekin Genktürk and Rami Aljuju. Are either of you in the room just to say hi? And you gentlemen are involved with immigration, and there's so much growth going on right now. Tell us a little bit more about what you're saying, and introduce yourself, please.
Yes, Doug, I'm here. My name is Ekin Genktürk with Migrate World. What is Migrate World? It is an international organization where we do residency and citizenship by investment. We are based out of Dubai. We have 60 branches in the world, and recently we moved to Saudi. As Mr. Adel mentioned, Saudi is a growing market. There's potential. So our biggest service right now in Saudi will be company formation and business setups. The reason we think Saudi is something important of us is that there's growth happening there. It's one of the largest economies in the GCC. It has the Vision of 2030 plan happening right now. And it's the perfect opportunity for businessmen, or anybody for that matter, to come to Saudi Arabia and set up their businesses. So what we do is we help relocate these people and help set up businesses in Saudi Arabia and all around the world. So we are honored to be moving to Saudi. We are honored to help people move to Saudi, establish their businesses. And we're looking forward to the opportunity that Saudi will present to everybody that moves there. We believe in Saudi. We believe the transformation it's making, as Mr. Adel mentioned. And we believe with our expertise, we will help many business owners move to Saudi and set up their businesses and have a prosperous setup in Saudi Arabia. I believe I don't want to take too much time off your table right now, so I'll just leave it at that. And thank you for your audience.
Thank you very much. I want to also point out Michael Tucker, and Michael, no worries about if you don't need to speak. I don't know what your situation is and how much maybe I'm surprising you, but Michael Tucker is an American who has just received a 1-year project in Saudi Arabia. So Michael, welcome to Saudi Arabia. Undoubtedly, one of the first people you should meet is Adel and his team in getting set up there. And I know you've already talked to Dwight Winkler of Global Chamber and others. And so thank you very much for your long time membership in Global Chamber, and good luck in landing in Saudi Arabia.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Michael. And Marie, I'll get to you in a moment, but I'd like to introduce next our second speaker, and that's Rehan Aleem. He's been working with the corporate group for many years. His expertise is being a qualified accountant and international tax expert. So certainly the market is ripe to be able to move into Saudi Arabia, and Rehan is going to be talking about a little of the nuts and bolts in getting involved with your move and setting up there. Rehan, thank you for joining us today. What would you like to share, please?
Oh, thank you for having me. Rekha, do you have my slides, or shall I? You've got it, right? Okay, great. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name's Rehan Aleem. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Taxstar. We're a tax technology company. I'm also the founder of an accounting firm called Alpha Pro Partners. And we do mainly bookkeeping for companies in the UK, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Hence why, you know, I have quite a lot of experience and knowledge in the market. Do you want to just move to the next slide? So in Saudi Arabia, what I will do is in my presentation, I'll give the UAE as a benchmark because a lot of people know about UAE, and we'll do some comparisons in terms of the tax regime from there, and I'll draw upon my UK experience as well. But Saudi Arabia does have a sophisticated tax ecosystem. So it's not, you know, there are many Gulf countries where, you know, there's no corporation tax, or some Gulf countries still haven't implemented VAT, for example. But Saudi Arabia does have a sophisticated tax system, and they even have e-invoicing, which in many countries around the world has not even been implemented. So some of the things I will touch upon in today's presentation, and obviously I can't go into too much detail because it's a series of webinars, right? But I'll touch upon things like e-invoicing, VAT, withholding tax is a big one, because if you're looking to set up in Saudi Arabia, you want to be able to, you know, bring out your profits back to your home country or to yourself, and that's one thing that you want to be sure that you're aware of. You've got corporation tax, customs and excise, and GOSI. GOSI is social security. So the first thing I'd like to obviously mention is there is no personal income, right? So you as an entrepreneur, you're setting up in Saudi Arabia. Okay, I'm profitable, therefore I'll pay corporation tax. But if you pay yourself a dividend or you pay yourself an income, you're not charged any income tax on that. There's no capital gains. There's no tax on dividends to you personally, and there's no income tax if you're obviously a resident in Saudi Arabia as well. There's no regional government taxes. So, for example, in the UK, you have council tax, or you may have business rates, for example. You don't have that type of tax in the UAE. Doug, in America, do they have like state and municipality taxes as well?
Absolutely.
Yes. So you wouldn't have that. First thing I'd obviously touch upon is e-invoicing. Now, the reason why I'd like to talk about e-invoicing is because many entrepreneurs, when they set up a business, they need to issue invoices, right? They're not thinking about VAT. They're not thinking about corporation tax. They're not thinking about withholding tax. You've landed your contract, great. What's the first thing you do? You're going to set up your license, and then you're going to set up a bank account, right? And then you're going to invoice, right? But sometimes you may not think about your tax obligations. And so in Saudi, they've introduced e-invoicing. And what does that mean? So it was implemented back in 2021. And in the early phase 1 law, you had to send an invoice which had a QR code and had all of the various elements on that invoice. So things like making sure that you've got the tax registration number, the address, you know, the item, the VAT rates on that invoice. We're now in phase 2. And what does phase 2 look like? Phase 2 is where your accounting system or your ERP system has to link with ZATCA. ZATCA is the equivalent of the IRS or HMRC or FTA in Saudi. So ZATCA is the ministry which regulates all of the taxes in Saudi Arabia. And with e-invoicing, your accounting system has to communicate with ZATCA. So every time you send an invoice, it goes to ZATCA as well. And therefore your VAT is pretty much pre-populated once you submit it. Now, there's been various waves of phase 2. So right now we're in the 13th wave, where between October and December, if your revenue is more than 25 million riyals per year, then you have to enroll with, you have to have a phase 2 compliant accounting software or ERP system that does the invoicing. Over the next few quarters, obviously that will start reducing down as well. In terms of withholding tax, so this tends to be the most kind of contentious part of taxes in Saudi Arabia. So usually withholding tax is chargeable on services which are paid for outside of the kingdom. Withholding tax has to be submitted every month by the 10th of the month. and it's based on your cash transactions. Now, there's withholding tax on royalty fees, management fees, dividends, and technical services. Now, management fees could be you have a company in the US or you have a company in the UK, and you're charging your company a management fee for providing services to the Saudi company. Effectively, you're sending money outside of the kingdom for services paid. That attracts withholding tax at 20%. Now, there's a caveat to that. The caveat is if there's a double tax treaty between the two countries. So, for example, there's a double taxation treaty between the UAE and Saudi Arabia. There are double taxation treaties between the Saudi Arabia and UK. In some instances, you are able to claim that back, but you have to understand the mechanism of claiming that back in your home country. It's not a hard and fast yes or no question. There are a number of situations where you need to be able to understand the process. So, for example, if you're based in the UAE, you need to have a TRC certificate from the UAE and then fill in another form to allow you to get the exemption. But there's a administrative mechanism that you have to follow. In terms of dividends, obviously, that's probably one of the main ways that you would send, you're profitable, you've paid your corporation tax, you may want to pay yourself dividends. So there's a 5% withholding tax on dividends if you pay outside of the kingdom. Now, technical services is usually it's a service that cannot be performed in Saudi Arabia. So, for example, you may have a specialist service provider that looks at a very particular machinery that they can give you they can give you some sort of professional service on. So you're paying for someone outside of the kingdom for that service, and that attracts 5%. Now, one last thing I'd like to also highlight is with withholding tax. If it's related party, your transactions are likely to be more scrutinized, because a related party transaction means that you have essentially influence on both sides of the transaction. So if it's not at arm's length, then that could be a bit of an issue as well. In terms of direct tax, you've got zakat and you've got corporation tax. Now, corporation tax is for foreign-owned companies, so most of us here would obviously want to focus on that. Corporation tax is at 20%. Zakat is for Saudi-owned and GCC-owned companies. Zakat calculation is based on your asset base, and it's charged at 2.5%. So there's a higher tax rate on foreign-owned companies. Now, the caveat to that is there are exemptions if you have a HQ. Some of the free zones have a lower tax rate as well. And when you do your corporation tax return, they also ask for transfer pricing documentation as well. Because if you have related party transactions, you may not want to show all of your profit in Saudi, because maybe you want to reduce your profitability. So you have to make sure that if you do have related party transactions, there's a transfer pricing study or agreement that happens for that company. If you go to the next slide. Sorry, the next one. VAT, while we go to the next slide, one thing we didn't mention was a tax rate of VAT. VAT is at 15%. It used to be at 5%, but it went up to 15%. And then I also mentioned in my slides GOSI, and I also mentioned excise and customs. So customs, it ranges. So if you're sending physical goods, you just have to understand what that impact is before you obviously start your business. And also with GOSI, GOSI is Social Security. Now, Social Security is mainly paid by Saudi locals. So there's a deduction that they have to make from their salary, which is around 12%, and then a company has to pay another 10% on top. So when you're hiring Saudi nationals, you have to take that into consideration. For foreigners, if you're a a non-GCC resident, you don't pay GOSI from your salary. However, the company has to contribute 2% from your salary to GOSI, and that's a company expense, not an individual expense from that point of view. In summary, one of the things I do highly stress is make sure you do some sort of analysis on what you need to do from a process point of view. Make sure that you are taking in consideration the various taxes that you will have to pay in Saudi Arabia. All companies have to have an audit. So at the end of the year, you need to make sure that you do have a financial year audit. If you're setting up your company for the first time, there is possibility where you can have an 18 months, a longer duration. So whoever sets up the business for you, just make sure that they are applying for the longer period, because then it allows you to, wait a little bit longer before you do your submission. Apart from that, those are the main kind of points I thought I'd like to cover. Happy to take questions and Q&A. Obviously, I can't give advice, but I can give generic information because everyone's circumstances is different.
Thank you, Rayhan. Doug Brunke back. We've got some questions and we've got a couple more people to introduce. Let's go to the first question. Please put your questions in the chat area, and there's a possibility also that we would just ask you to ask the question, but for the time being, please put it in the chat area and I just may call you. The first question relates to Adele, and Adele, if you could handle this one, please, on Vision 2030 for Saudi Arabia, setting up Saudi Arabia as a global growth platform for investments. You talked quite a bit about the events that you do around investing in Saudi Arabia. There are some questions about how to get involved in those. And so two levels of question. Number one is, what are your thoughts? Big topic, Vision 2030, how is that influencing what's going on? And secondly, more practically, how can people get involved in the events that TCG is doing? Adele, are you there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
just the first part, what was it? The first one? The second one is already...
The first one is your thoughts
the
on
Vision 2030. Thoughts about the Vision 2030 and the contribution, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, as mentioned, I mean, the Saudi Arabia, in terms of their vision, they're very aggressive in terms of making things happen. And there is, I would say it kind of presents not totally greenfield, but since the past decade, they've been working heavily in terms of infrastructure. Okay, so making sure that the infrastructure comes on board, because without the infrastructure, you can't really support other sectors. So, for example, in terms of infrastructure, just to give you an example, in the mobility and transport, the kingdom has awarded large projects such as the Riyadh Metro. Riyadh Metro is around 180 kilometer or more than that. So that's about double or triple size of the Dubai Metro. I'm just comparing in terms of the scale and in the region here. And that metro system has been started digging from the ground on 2012. And I think with the constructions and everything that came on board, now we're witnessing before end of the month, the launch of 3 lines in the kingdom. And then consequence of that will be also another 3 lines in December this year. So that's it's from ground to operation. It took a couple of years, including the years of that the pandemic was a bit slowed down in that time. But overall, that plus 200 kilometers of rail is already in place. In addition to that, we talked about the freight and passenger rail high speed. So these projects also kicked a decade back, but since 5 years is in operation. So there's a north to Riyadh and Riyadh to the borders of Kuwait and on the Dhahran side as well. There is a cargo and passenger rail that is operating more than 1,400 kilometers. And this is part of the commitment of the kingdom and linking with the GCC network of the rail, which from the other side, UAE also, Etihad Rail is in advance of connecting those with the neighboring countries such as Oman and Qatar and Kuwait. So this is just an example. So there is a lot of work going on. The economic zones, some of the economic zones hosting medical cities and projects of a size of, I would say maybe 7, 8 hospitals in one of those economic cities, and each with a minimum 500 to maximum 1,500 beds. So a lot of these would require a decade just to complete these things, and the kingdom is witnessing this. And I think now the couple years that we would show a bit more focus on transformation in terms of bringing those renewable energy, focusing on the manufacturing, bringing more technology to just becoming more of a smart city type. So this would be on. And in terms of the events and the platforms, as I said, I highly recommend people to visit those kind of different examples that I gave in terms of the events and exhibitions. As a visitor, at least, if not participants or exhibitor, but then exhibitor also, it's a good kind of a platform where you could engage yourself and see what is it. And the dynamic in Saudi Arabia, as I said, is a huge market. They've got a lot of local demands and local economy much stronger than the neighboring countries, where they use themselves as more than a hub and working on export. But in Saudi Arabia, they've got a big capacity in terms of the local demand market.
Very good. Thank you very much. I want to recognize, the last question there was, how do people get involved with the events that you talked about in December, January, and February by TCG?
I think my colleague here, Rika, she will put on the side chat for the websites or any inquiries or related to that.
Fantastic. Global Chamber is everywhere in the world, and we're very honored to be working with the corporate group in these countries, including Saudi Arabia. I want to recognize a few of our other leaders that are in the room here today. Yuka Nakasone of Global Chamber, Barcelona, Madrid, and Valencia, and all of Spain. I'd also like to recognize Erica Herwal, who's the Global Chamber for Las Vegas. And some of you do a little gambling from time to time and come to the US and Las Vegas. If you're at the Consumer Electronics Show in January, Erica has a Global Chamber event that's organized through the Korean government. And so please join us there. I actually plan to be there for that one. And Kasum Koulibaly is Global Chamber in several countries representing in West Africa for us. So Kasum, I've seen you very active in the chat area. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your involvement, and thank you for your collaboration with Global Chamber. Marie O'Neill is also in the call. She's a new member of Global Chamber. She leads the efforts by EER Middle East. And Marie, could you just say hi as well and tell us a little bit how you fit into all of this?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Doug. And thank you, Adele and Rian, for two great presentations. I'm the co-owner of EER Middle East. Our head office is in Dubai. We have an office in Riyadh and also Abu Dhabi, and we offer services across the Middle East. So we have three main services. We do company and corporation, immigration support and relocation services. And when I say relocation services, that's mainly employees of corporates and individuals moving to the region, helping them with an orientation tour, home searches, school searches, all the settling in, driver's license, utility connections, etc. So everything we assist with, from setting up a company to taking care of the immigration processes, and then the soft settling in of schools, homes, orientation, etc. Yeah, so we deal with a lot of corporates direct and also work with a lot of third parties, and delighted to be new members of Global Chamber. And thank you, Doug.
My pleasure. Erica, I'd like to come to you because I see there's a question that you have. I see a question about setting up Global Chamber in other countries like Poland and others. So please, if you have an interest, please send information to me, doug@globalchamber.org. And I'm happy to talk to you about some of the opportunities there. Erica, you were asking about the corporate group doing investing. Are you available to ask a question?
Yes, so basically I was wondering if the corporate group is looking for foreign investments into some of these projects that you're working on, or how is there, that's basically my question. I'll leave it there.
Good. So are you facilitating these investments? Are you involved in the investments? How does that work, Adel?
Yeah, we're mainly a company that facilitates those investments and projects in the kingdom. Although we have participated in few of those projects, whether on the capacity of advisory and consulting to some of the government projects in the kingdom, or delivering some of the assignments with our partners. So we're open, but majority of the time we are more of linking and advising and consulting to those companies who would like to invest and conduct a business in Saudi Arabia.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Kasum, are you available to speak? You have a question as well. Kasum, are you there? And his question relates to the tourism sector. And if he's not available to ask the question, just overall, are you involved? Is the corporate group involved with the tourism sector, and in what ways? And that, I think it would go to Adel.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with one of our partners here in Dubai. It has been successful event that's called the Retail Summit. So that's more of working with all the retail brands, shopping malls, anything to do in the retail industry, including the tourism, including the business side and everything. So we're working with them in launching the first event in Saudi Arabian Kingdom, and this would be end of January. And I urge many of those people who would like to hear about the projects, about the retail opportunities, about the tourism, about the commerce. This could be a good conference and workshop and platform. It's a 2 days event that will be end of January next year.
Fantastic. Ban Faris is in the call. She is a leader at Arizona State University, and she works with students. We were very fortunate to have an intern from Saudi Arabia that was instrumental in helping us over the last couple of years set up Global Chamber in the region. Ban, are you available? I know this group is mostly people not in the U.S., and I know you have some opportunities for U.S. companies as well. You're doing some great work at ASU in bringing foreign students to the school. Is there anything that you would like to share?
Thank you, Doug. So I'm the Associate Director for Global Career Initiative, which is we work with employers and with the students to prepare them to their new journey. So if you are looking for any talent, students from even Middle East, Saudi Arabia, we have a lot of students from all Emirates. You can contact me and we can set up maybe meeting to talk about how you can hire all this talent student who studied in United States and I'm willing to answer any question.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We're at the top of the hour. Oh, I'm sorry. We're at the top of the hour. So if I could ask Rayhan, could you do a final 1-minute summary and anything that you would like to say in final conclusion, and then we'll go to Adele, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thanks for that. The key thing I would mention to anyone who's looking to set up in Saudi Arabia is, yes, obviously setting up is important, but also making sure that you have the right structure in place from a tax point of view is equally important. Obviously, you're going in there, you're spending a lot of time and effort, and so you want to make sure that the profit or the income that you get is, is rewarding. So just make sure you do some sort of analysis on that. And then, I'm pretty sure, you guys will be very successful. It's a booming market. We're finding many new clients who are setting up out there. And so wish you guys good luck.
Thank you very much. Adele, thank you for being such a tremendous leader in the region. Thank you for your information today. What final comments would you like to make, please?
Well, we talked a lot about the Vision 2030 and the foreign investment and businesses into Saudi Arabia. But I think we all witnessed the fact that the Saudi government is also trying to strategically play a major role in the BRICS and G20. And that's they just want to be an important emerging players in those kind of venues and in those kind of landmark where they could connect to the world and continue and work with those neighbors and work with those countries in supporting their policy in terms of attracting foreign investment and businesses. So there's a lot of effort has been planned, and it's the time now to see most of those executions coming in place.
The region historically has been so strong in wealth generated from oil. And now the new oil, some say, is the semiconductor industry. And we didn't really touch on that today, but with the recent announcements, Saudi Arabia and investing in the future in technology, including a foundry for semiconductors. It's a different time. It's an amazing time to be involved with global business. If you're interested in the semiconductor industry and what's going on there, including in Saudi Arabia, the 4th annual Global Chamber Semiconductor Summit is February 19th. It can be attended in person in Phoenix, Arizona, or virtually. So please join us for that. It's become an amazingly global, important market segment, perhaps one of the most important in the world. Thank you so much, Adele. Thank you, Rayhan, for your leadership and for your knowledge and your expertise. You're bringing teams with you to help companies be successful in these regions on the market side and on the operations side. Today's conversation had a little bit of both. Watch for future conversations here on Global Chamber that are about the market opportunities, how to connect to some of these. If you have any questions, you've got Reka, and she's been sending some information there in the chat area. And you can always get a hold of Global Chamber at info@globalchamber.org or directly to me, Doug@globalchamber.org, and connect in LinkedIn. We're happy to do so. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening in Saudi Arabia and a great rest of the week.
Thanks, Doug. I just wanted to add one more thing. We would be working together, and we will plan it for next year, to a bit more of a deep dive on the specific sectors. And I agree with you. I mean, this time does not allow us to concentrate and go deep dive. But this one was more of a macro level, but we would be selecting few of those sectors, and we would be highlighting on a series of those kind of webinars and for the next year.
That'll be fantastic. Thank you, Adele.
Thank you.
It's Thanksgiving week in the United States, and so thank you all. We're full of gratitude for your participating today and your ongoing collaboration in business. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reka. Thank you for organizing.
Thank you so much, Doug. Pleasure as
you-
always.
My pleasure. Hi,
See you
Yuka,
soon.
joining. Good to see you. Thanks, Bon. Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Bye.